Unable to use her hands due to arthritis, stop-motion animator Suzanne Blake asks her daughter Ella for help to finish her latest film, which often overwhelms Ella with too much work. At least she has some time at night to hang out with her boyfriend Tom and her friends. Well, not much time, because once she gets home, it's time to work.
Wake up, Poppet. Time to work.
Her mother tells her she wants her to finish the film before she dies, putting even more pressure on Ella. She pressures her so much that she doesn't even call her by her name anymore, simply referring to her as Puppet.
Wake up, Poppet.
Treating her like one. Suddenly, there's a power outage, and when Ella goes to check on her mother, she finds her on the floor, suffering from a stroke. And so it begins. Welcome to Random Recaps. In this video, I'm going to recap the movie. Her mother falls into a coma. At her boyfriend's house, Ella imagines her mother dead on the floor, turned into a stop-motion puppet. Her boyfriend invites her to stay as long as she wants. But determined to finish the movie, Ella rents a studio to keep working on it. As she brings up all the necessary things, she encounters a little girl along the way and starts working. The girl sings throughout the building, distracting Ella. When Ella goes to find her, she finally meets the girl. The girl, intrigued by what Ella is doing, asks to see how she makes the movie. Ella shows her the story, but the girl reacts with, "This is boring crap. Don't you have Dragon Ball Z?"
It's not finished, and it's not boring.
To improve the story, the girl suggests making a new one. She recommends a plot about a girl in the woods, scared because someone is following her. "You caught me, girl, it's cinema." Ella thinks, and decides the girl is right. She'll make another film. Feeling guilty for abandoning her mother's project, Ella begins working on the story of the girl in the woods. Her boyfriend asks her to rest, but obsessed and excited about her new work, Ella keeps going. Tom's sister, Polly, visits Ella after hearing about her mother. Polly loves the new project when Ella shows it to her. After she leaves, Ella meets the girl again, who is happy to see her story taking shape, but dislikes it because it doesn't look real. The girl suggests using rotten steak for the dolls to simulate flesh. Ella reluctantly agrees and starts crafting the dolls. The girl continues developing the story. The girl in the woods escapes, finds a house, and hides there, trying to avoid a man known as the Ash Man, who will come in 3 nights. The girl even gives Ella tips on camera angles. She's a misunderstood genius. Let her cook. Ella makes the movie as the girl suggested. Later, she tells her boyfriend not to mention anything about the project to Polly. As she falls asleep, she starts dreaming about the story, even hearing knocks on the door. But it's just the girl wanting to show her something. As demanding as James Cameron, the girl wants Ella to make the figure of the Ashman using something dead. She takes Ella to find a dead fox.
Bruh.
Ella refuses, so the girl says, "Well, if you don't want to use the dead fox, then I won't keep telling you the story."
This is my film. Is it?
The girl leaves in anger, expecting Ella to do it on her own. Ella tries to work alone but can't come up with anything. She goes to her mother to apologize for not finishing her movie, frustrated by her lack of talent to create her own story. After all, the story she's working on is the girl's, not hers. That night, Ella goes to a nightclub and asks Polly for LSD, hoping it will inspire new ideas. So, if you're out of ideas, take drugs.
That makes sense to me.
No, wait, don't do that. The LSD doesn't bring ideas, but does make her want to sleep with her boyfriend. Then she sees someone's head being smashed and starts touching the wound with the girl's help.
What?
Who appears out of nowhere. Ella follows her outside and finally agrees to use the dead fox to create the Ashman. The girl continues the story. The girl is inside the house, and the Ashman comes. She tries to hide, but he sees her. She takes a photo, then the phone rings. She takes another photo, and the phone rings again. On the 3rd call, the girl is gone. She answers, but no one speaks. Ella goes to check the stairs and sees someone or something coming up. She gets scared and runs back to her apartment. When she looks through the peephole, she hallucinates that she sees the Ashman, just like in the Tom finds her passed out in her apartment, saying she saw him. Tom asks if she took any drugs the night before. She shows that she didn't even take the drugs. Tom reveals that she animated the Ashman approaching the girl's door. Horrified that it mirrors what happened to her, she asks her boyfriend to leave the apartment with her. While taking a bath, she begins imagining that she is made of wax and dreams of the doll opening up her leg. The next day, while having breakfast with her boyfriend, she sees the girl. Terrified, she locks herself in the bathroom. The girl follows her, asking if she wants to know what happens next in the story. Ella no longer wants to make the movie, but the girl doesn't care and continues telling her. On the first night, he sees her. On the second night, he touches her. Polly, who is also an animator, gets Ella a job at her studio, but she is disappointed to find out that she will only be making eyes. After a while, Ella realizes that Polly stole the idea for her movie, which makes her angry, and she breaks the animation set, saying, "Fuck it, I'll just keep making my own movie." The girl continues telling the story, saying that on the second night, the Ashman touches the girl. Ella refuses to animate that, so she suggests that the girl escapes, and the Ashman never touches her. The girl tells her she can't change the story, and Ella responds,
Yes, I can. It's my film.
While filming the scenes, Ella starts shaking, the lights flicker, and she hallucinates the Ashman again. As she tries to escape, she turns into a doll, being chased by the Ashman. The Ashman touches her, just like in the story, spits out a ball, and places it in her mouth. We see Ella on the floor, hallucinating the entire thing, while the girl looks at her and says,
I told you.
Ella wakes up in the hospital with an injured leg. Tom visits her and tells her that the project has gone too far. He informs her of his plan to go to her apartment and destroy the set. Ella tells him to let her do it, and he agrees, but only if they do it together. Later, she realizes that her mother has died. The girl appears to continue the story. The girl suggests that the dead fox is no longer useful, and they should find something more gruesome. Ella asks the girl to sit next to her, only to grab her and strangle her. Thinking he killed the girl, but the girl appears again.
Have you got that out of your system now?
Ella laughs and cries as the girl consoles her. Since the girl wants something bloodier, Ella removes the sutures from her leg and pulls out a strip of her own muscle.
What the hell?
At that moment, Tom and Polly arrive, horrified at what Ella is doing. They try to take her to the hospital. The girl tells Ella that they're going to ruin everything. So, Ella kills them both, literally stabbing Polly in the neck with a tripod. She drowns Tom. Ella takes the corpses back to her apartment. The girl is thrilled, saying this is much better. Ella uses the flesh from the corpses to make life-sized versions of the girl and the Ashman. The puppets start moving. The Ashman approaches Ella. The girl panics, saying this isn't part of the story. Ella stands still, allowing the Ashman to eat her face, which turns into death mask wax. Finally, Ella enters a cabin in the woods, identical to the one in the movie, where the girl is watching footage of Ella bleeding out on the floor of her apartment. The girl tells her she loved the movie. Ella smiles, climbs into a satin-lined box, and locks herself inside. And that's how the movie ends. The film explores how creative pressure, grief, and external influence affect Ella, leading her down a dark path of obsession and horror. It tackles deep psychological themes, like mental vulnerability under artistic pressure, while intertwining surreal and terrifying imagery. For example, when Ella begins hallucinating the Ashman watching her through the peephole, the film delves into how emotional trauma and creative exhaustion can trigger a break from reality. Another example is when she imagines the girl to create her story, as due to her mother's pressure and calling her a puppet, Ella was unable to come up with a story on her own, so she imagined a girl to tell her how to make the movie, making Ella merely a puppet herself.